Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to break down a really powerful and honestly, surprisingly simple strategy to sharpen your poker game. So forget all those complex charts for a minute. We're talking about a framework that's going to help you make way better decisions and, boost your winnings hand after hand.
So let me guess, you're putting in the hours, you're grinding at the tables, but your win rate just feels kind of flat, right? If that sounds familiar, trust me, you are not alone. It's a super common plateau for players who are really trying to get better.
And you want to know the likely culprit? You're probably just overthinking things. Seriously, the path to crushing the games most of us play isn't about memorizing more and more complex plays. We are not trying to become a GTO wizard, that perfectly balanced computer-like strategy. No, we're focusing on something much, much more practical.
So what's the big secret? Well, it's a simple, repeatable framework for one of the most common spots in all of poker, when you're the one who raised before the flop and you've got position on your opponent. This is not some new fad, this is a core concept that pros have been using to make a living for over a decade.
Okay, this is it. This is the entire foundation of the whole strategy. Just 3 simple questions. We're going to break down exactly what each one means, but your first step is to just burn these 3 questions into your memory. They're going to be your guide for every single decision on the flop, the turn, and the river.
All right, so before we can really put the framework into action, we need to learn how to get inside our opponent's head a little bit. And to do that, we're going to use 2 key concepts that are basically the building blocks for our first 2 questions.
First up is this idea of an uncapped range. All this means is that based on what your opponent has done so far, they could still be holding the absolute strongest hands, the nuts, right? So think about it. If they raised pre-flop and the flop comes ace, king, queen, they could absolutely have pocket aces or pocket kings. Their range of possible hands is still wide open. It's uncapped.
Now, on the flip side, we have what's called a capped range. And this is a massive clue for us. When an opponent takes a passive action, like just calling your bet instead of raising, their range of possible hands gets capped. It's like they're telling you, yeah, I have something decent, but probably not a monster. And that, right there, signals a huge opportunity for us. So here's the bottom line. It's really simple. An uncapped range means danger. You got to proceed with caution. But a capped range, that's a green light. That is an invitation to apply pressure, either by bluffing your opponent or by betting big for value.
Okay, the second concept is what we call fast playing. This is really all about reading your opponent's style. Are they the type of player who plays their big hands super aggressively, betting and raising to build a huge pot? Or are they kind of tricky, trying to trap you by checking their monster hands? Getting a read on this is absolutely critical.
And finally, we get to question 3, which is honestly the easiest one. It's just about our own hand. We're just going to put our hand into one of 3 buckets. Is it a strong value hand that wants to get paid off? Is it a medium showdown value hand that can probably win but doesn't really want to play a huge pot? Or is it a straight-up bluff? Knowing which bucket your hand falls into is going to tell us exactly what to do.
Okay, theory is all well and good, but let's get to a practical example and see how this whole thing builds a clear, profitable play. This is where the theory turns into actual money in your pocket.
So imagine this. You raised before the flop from the button. The big blind calls, and this is the flop we see. It's a pretty wet board, meaning there are a lot of straight and flush draws possible. And now your opponent checks to you. The action is on you. What do you do?
Okay, let's go right to the framework. Question 1. After they just called pre-flop and then checked this flop, what can we say about their range? Have they done anything to limit the possible hands they could be holding?
The answer is a definite no. Their range is completely uncapped. By just calling pre-flop and checking here, they could have almost anything. A set of 10s, 2 pair with 10-8, a big spade draw, you name it. We have to assume the worst is still possible.
Now for question 2. On a dangerous, draw-heavy board just like this one, how is a typical opponent going to play their strong hands? Are they going to get passive and let you see a cheap card? Or are they going to get aggressive?
Oh yeah, almost certainly. On a board with this many draws, most players are going to play their big hands aggressively. They want to protect their hand, they want to build the pot by betting or maybe check raising. The last thing they want to do is give you a free card to hit your draw.
So here it is. This is where it all clicks. Since we expect our opponent to raise with their strong hands, we can actually turn that against them.
Our best play is to bet small with our entire range, our value hands, our medium hands, and even our bluffs. This little pro bet lets them make the mistake and lets them do all the raising for us.
Now, once you start applying this three-question framework consistently, you're going to notice that a few really powerful, really profitable patterns start to emerge over and over and over again.
See, this whole framework leads to a few core patterns. Look at the first one. If their range is uncapped, but you think they're going to fast play, you bet small, just like in our example. But then look at the third one. If their range becomes capped, now you can apply maximum pressure with big bets. Your strategy just adapts based on the answers to those three simple questions.
So what you should really take away from all this is that winning poker doesn't have to be some massive headache. You don't need to be a supercomputer to beat most games. All you need is a simple, effective plan that you can execute consistently. Simplification truly is power.
So the next time you sit down to play, ask yourself this question. Is that really complex strategy you're trying to use actually helping you, or is it just getting in your way? By simplifying your whole thought process with these three questions, you might just find that your biggest opponent at the table was your own overthinking all along.